Today's training will focus on the Aloha front of house basics for cashiers. We'll be covering clocking in, exploring the Aloha interface, accessing checks, the basics of order entry, checking out and clocking out, amongst other functions. Thanks for joining us. Let's get started. First, we'll enter our employee number on the employee login screen. Today our employee number will be 102, so we'll enter 102 and say OK. That's going to take us to our clock in screen. We're going to need to highlight the job of cashier today, as we'll be processing the transactions and payments for the servers and other individuals working the floor. So we highlight cashier here on the left and click clock in. This takes us to our floor plan screen. Let's explore the floor plan screen. Here in the floor plan screen, we can see the different tables listed in the floor plan. We can see that the white tables are available, whereas the purple tables are owned by the servers currently working the floor. We're going to be able to access these tables by clicking on the table here in the floor plan, or we'll also be able to access them in the Working with Tables screen. We can see the WWT screen here in the upper right. If we click this button, it will take us to that screen. We'll explore that soon. Down the right side of the screen, we have some various functions where we could adjust tips or hit done to exit the screen. And then, of course, up here in the top upper right of the screen, we have our start phone order and access pay phone order for our Aloha Takeout software. That is another training module available to learn about Aloha Takeout. Let's explore the Working with Tables screen. We'll click the WWT button in the upper right of the screen. Now that we're in the Working with Tables screen, we can see the table here on the left, which would take us back to the floor plan. We do have the ability to start a new table. We could open the cash drawer if needed. We could run our checkout if we're at the end of our shift. We can check our sales should we have produced any sales today. We'll check out key functions here momentarily. We could get a check from another individual, so just another way to access a check from an individual. And we can also process a refund, which we'll see is most times a managerial function. When working as a cashier, one of the most important things you can do is access the key functions and assign yourself to the cash drawer to start your shift. So after clocking in, you'll want to come to the Working with Tables screen Key Functions button. And we're going to go to the Financial tab in the Special Functions area, which we'll explore a bit more here in our training. We'll click Financial, and we'll click on the Cash Drawers button here in the upper right. And now we can see we need to find ourselves and attach ourselves to the cash drawer. So we're going to see ourselves listed here on the left side of the screen, so we'll go ahead and highlight ourselves, number 102, and we're going to go ahead and click in the cash drawer box to assign ourselves to the cash drawer. Now we could open the drawer here if needed, or we can hit done. That's going to take us back out here to the financial screen. We can go back again, and we can exit this screen if needed. And that takes us back out to the Working with Tables screen, and we've been assigned to the cash drawer, which will give us the ability to close off these transactions and adjust the payments for the customers. In today's training, we'll be exploring some different options in the order entry screens. We'll be placing some new orders of our own, but we'll also be accessing some other checks of servers, and we'll be applying payment to them, adding items and things of that nature. So we'll get to see some different types of functionality. Just remember that if we have this table over here on the left side of the screen, that means we can go back to the floor plan, we could access an individual's check, and that would take us into the Aloha order entry screen. So why don't we go ahead and click on table number 5, and now we can see the Aloha order entry screen. Let's explore the order entry screen for table number 5 here. In the upper left of our order entry screen, we can see our table, which would take us back out to our floor plan. We have a clear button, which would clear off any unordered items off the screen. In this case, all these items are listed in black, so they have been currently ordered with an order mode, so they would have to be voided by the manager to be able to be taken off this check. We can split a check. We could split a seat. There's a done button to exit the screen. We have our send button over here, the order mode send, and to go, rush, and no make, should we need to flag these orders specially with a to go, rush, or no make order mode. We also can just send them to the kitchen. We have our sub menus down the middle of the screen, which I like to say are like the sections of our menu. So if we look through these here, we'll see some different sections of our menu and the sub menu order items available today. So from here we can see the order entry check. The left side of the screen is going to show us what we have ordered on this ticket so far. We can see items have been ordered by seat number, and some items have also been ordered for the table. And so down here in the lower portion of the screen, we have the ability to toggle between the seats and make sure if we need to order something new that we assign it to the proper seat. We have a close button, which will take us to our payment or close screen, which we'll check out here in a little bit. We can hit next seat to add another seat to the check if needed. We could transfer, should we need to transfer some items from a seat to another check. We could print a receipt from here. We have a delete button, which would clear off or delete any recently ordered items that haven't been sent in yet. This also would double as the void button, which would need to be approved by the manager. We have a quantity button, should we need to order items by quantity. We can repeat items that we order. Should we have a repeat item, we could highlight an existing item that we've sent already, or even new items that we ring up, we can repeat them. We can modify items when we sell them, so if we need to make some optional modifications or let the kitchen know some special instructions, we can modify. We have a save phone order for the Aloha takeout orders, and we have a hold button should you hold items in your environment. Let's click the table up here in the upper left and go back out to our floor plan screen. From the floor plan, let's go ahead and access table number 20. Table number 20 would like to pay, so we're going to go ahead and click on the close button in the lower left of the screen. When we click close, this is going to take us to the payment screen. Let's explore the payment screen. In the payment screen in the upper left, we can see the table, which would take us back out to our floor plan screen. We could print a copy of the check if needed, and if there were multiple checks, we could print all the checks associated with this table. We have a return check button to return the check to the server if needed. We can exit the screen. We can see here's our payment tab, and we have our comp tab where our managers can apply comps to the check. And of course, down the middle of the screen here, we have the different tender types that we accept. Here on the left, we have a check screen, an order entry check, where we can see the items that have been ordered, the subtotal, tax, and total, and the balance due. And of course, in the bottom of the screen, we have a delete button should we need to delete the payment off if we apply the wrong payment to the check. We have an adjust button should we need to adjust the amount of the payment. Perhaps we're going to have a couple different types of payments. We can do that. We can force a payment onto the customer card, reprint the payment receipt. We can process an equal pay and split the payment equally amongst the check in different number fashions. So we could do 2 or 4 or however many times we need to split it, we could split it equally. And then we have a tax exempt button over here in the lower right. If we have tax exempt customers, we can enter that tax exempt information. Now let's apply payment to this check. We're going to go ahead and click on the cash tender. That's going to take us here to this payment screen where we can see the amount of cash that we're going to apply to this check. If the customer were to have given us $60, we can go ahead and enter 60 here. And you can see it changes the amount, and we can say OK. And that's going to take us back out here to the close screen where we can see that that cash payment of $60 has been applied to the check. And we have the change due amount of $18.96 listed here at the bottom. We'll go ahead and click this close button to close the check, or we can hit exit to exit should we need to come back in and make some further modifications. But in this example today, we'll go ahead and hit close and close that check. We do get a change due prompt upon closing, which is also a nice feature. You can pop the cash drawer there, or it'll pop automatically, and then you can produce the change due to the guest. And that takes us back out to our floor plan screen. Let's go over to the Working with Tables screen. Let's explore using the Get Check function. In the lower right of the Working with Tables screen, we have a Get Check option. So if we hit Get Check, this is going to offer us the ability to pick up a table by number. So if we do know the table number is 22, we can hit 22 on the screen and say OK, and that's going to grab that check for us and bring us right to the Aloha order entry screen. Now, of course, we can go to the Close screen where we can apply payment to this check. And again, we have a customer who's going to pay cash for this transaction today. So we're going to go ahead and use the $20 increment. He has a $20 bill, which again, we get our change due listed here at $4.34, and we'll hit Close, and we'll close that check. And again, the screen will populate our change due for the customer's $4.34 and open the cash drawer so we can produce that change. We need to click the screen to eliminate the message, and we're back in our floor plan screen. From the floor plan, let's explore creating a new order. We're going to go ahead and click on table 22 and open this new table that's not been used yet. So we'll open up 22, and that's going to take us to our Aloha order entry screen where we can now start placing this order. So we have a table of 2, so we're going to add next seat down here. So we'll click the next seat button, and we can add that extra seat to the table, and then we're going to highlight seat 1. Seat 1 would like to have an iced tea, and seat 2 is going to have a Diet Coke. So we're really just assisting this server with getting these beverages to the table, and we're going to go ahead and open up table 22 and send those in with the send order mode in the upper right. And then of course those items will turn black to let you know they've been sent in. And we can go back to our floor plan screen by clicking the table in the upper left. Now this table is open as under us, so if the server wants to pick it up, we can go ahead and transfer that to them. So we're going to come over here to our Working with Tables screen. So we'll click the WWT button in the upper right. And now we're going to click the transfer button in the lower left of the Working with Tables screen. When we click transfer, you can see it's asking us to highlight the table in which we'd like to transfer. We have table 22, so we'll go ahead and click 22 and say OK. Excuse me, we're going to have to highlight the server we want to transfer that to, and that's going to be server number 101. And now we'll say OK. That's going to take us out here to the Working with Tables screen where we can see our pending transfer to Sally 101 server. So Sally's going to pick up this table so she can finish working the table. Let's log in with Sally's number and see how the table's picked up. Back here at the login screen, we're going to go ahead and log in as Sally 101 server and say OK with the 101. This is letting us know right off that we have that pending incoming transfer and that we need to go to the Working with Tables screen. So in the upper right of the screen, we'll click the WWT button. That takes us to the Working with Tables screen, where we can go ahead and highlight this incoming transfer, and we're going to say New Order in the lower left of the screen. This is going to ask us if we'd like to assign a tab or table name. We're going to say Table and OK. And our cashier was nice enough to open up this table and get a couple drinks for us, so we actually have table number 22 already assigned, so we'll go ahead and leave that as it is and say OK. And that's going to take us into our Aloha order entry screen, and we went ahead and picked up that table. If we click the floor plan in the upper left, we'll see that table now belongs to us in green, server 101. We'll go ahead and hit done to exit the screen. Back here in the login screen, let's go ahead and log back in as our number 102 and say OK. And now we can see that that table has turned purple and it's been moved over to server 101. Now that we've placed a new order and transferred a table to a server, let's go ahead and add to an existing table's order. Let's go ahead and click on table 10 in the lower left. This takes us to our Aloha order entry screen. Table 10's requested they'd like to add a dessert to go on the bill. So we're going to go down here to the dessert submenu. When I click on the dessert submenu, I'll see the desserts available here. I'm going to go ahead and order a chocolate cake for this customer, and they're going to want that to go. So I'm going to use the to go order mode in the upper right to let the kitchen know that this one's going to be to go. So when I send this in with to go, you can see the chocolate cake turns black, letting us know it's been sent in. And then of course we can come on down here to the payment screen where we can apply payment to this check as the guest is also ready to pay. So we'll click close, and this takes us into our payment screen. This customer would like to pay with a credit card, so we're going to go ahead and click the credit card button. And I'm going to have to enter this number manually, but you'll be able to swipe the card at the terminal and apply the payment to the check. So let's go ahead and enter this card number. And then we'll say OK. And that carries us into our payment confirmation screen where we can see the amount that we're applying to this MasterCard. There's a tip line, a card number listed. You can see that's masked. If I say OK here, it's going to toggle me down through the tabs. I need to enter an expiration date, and again, this should auto-populate when you swipe the card, but I'm entering this manually. And then I can say OK. And this is going to take me to a security verification screen in this system. You might not see it in every system, but some will ask for a zip code. So I'm going to go ahead and enter that zip code here and say OK. And that carries us back out here to our payment screen where we can see this MasterCard payment has been applied for $32.40 with a balance due of 0. And now we have the ability to close this check, and we can come back and adjust the tip a little bit later if needed. But let's explore adjusting the tip from this area here. If we still have the screen open and the customer has signed the check and go ahead and left a tip, we'll go ahead and highlight this payment for MasterCard, and we'll hit adjust. And then we're going to go ahead and see here that we can toggle back down to that tip line here, and we can adjust this tip. So we'll go ahead and adjust the tip for $2 and say OK. And now we've got that tip already adjusted. So when we close this check, the tip is finalized and we're back out here in our floor plan screen. Let's explore other ways of adjusting tips. We do have an adjust tips button here in the floor plan screen, and we also have one in the working with tables screen. So let's look at both angles. If we click adjust tips here, this is going to take us to the adjust tips screen. Now across the bottom of the screen you can see the different tender types that we accept that are allowed to have tips added to them. We can flip through these tabs to see the different tenders and the transactions that have been processed for each tender type. If I highlight MasterCard, you can see our transaction is listed here, and it does have the tip listed for $2. If this was incorrectly added, we do have the ability to adjust the tip here, so we'd have to highlight the transaction in question in this area and then adjust the tip amount here on the left. So I'm going to adjust this to $3 as I misread the receipt the customer signed. I'll say OK, and you can see that tip was adjusted there to $3, and we're all set. Now we can hit done, and that's going to carry us back out here to our floor plan screen. But let's go over to the working with table screen and explore the other option for adjusting tips. So we'll click the WWT screen button in the upper right. Now from the WWT screen, we're going to go in the lower left of the screen and click the tips button. When we click the tips button, it takes us back to the adjust tips screen. We can see again our tender types listed across the bottom. We can flip through those tenders to adjust the transactions as needed. Here again is our MasterCard transaction. You can see the tip was adjusted for $3, so we're all set there. And again, if we need to make more adjustments, just make them here. And when you're all set, just hit done. And that carries us back out here to our Working with Tables screen. From the Working with Tables screen, let's take a deeper look at the Key Functions area. So we're going to click on the Key Functions button in the lower right. This is going to take us to the Special Functions tabs. Most of these tabs are preserved for manager profiles, but let's take a look and see what we see. In the Reports area, we see that the reports are grayed out. These are mostly flash reports for managerial functionality. So we'll go ahead and go back and take a look at Financial. We saw this earlier in our training, but we could assign a cash drawer to ourselves here. We could reprint a check, and we also have cash function option. This cash function option is going to be for paid outs or paid ins. Sometimes we'll need to pay the janitor or window washer or maybe get some groceries from the store, so we might have to do a paid out of our cash drawer. We're going to go ahead and click the Cashier Paid Out button. This is going to ask us to select ourselves, our employee number here, 102, to say OK that we're the one processing the paid out. And we'll say OK. And this is going to ask us to enter the amount. So we're going to say that there's an amount of $3 that we're going to pay out for some limes we had to purchase from the grocery store. So we'll say OK. And this is going to ask us to choose a reason why. Now here we can choose the grocery reason and say OK. And that's going to tell us here that we're taking $3 out of the drawer, and we can say, yes, this is correct, and OK. And that's going to take us back out here to our financial screen. Now in the cash drawer area, we are welcome to open the drawer, or we could come back out of here and hit exit and go back into our Working with Tables screen. In the lower portion of the screen, open the drawer to remove the $3. Now, of course, we'll see that petty account transaction processed in our checkout at the end of our shift. We'll take a look at that later in our training. Let's go explore the rest of the key functions. We also have alerts. These alerts most likely are not going to be available to us. We'll probably see that there's a message letting us know that there's no current active alerts to display. We'll just click the screen again. We can come over here to Employee. In Employee, we can see the View Schedule option. Should you use the Aloha Labor Scheduler or have a scheduler in play, you could reprint your clock out sheet or your checkout sheet should you need to reprint that. And you could change your password should you need to assign yourself to a MAG card. We'll go ahead and hit back, and we'll check out System. And most times System is all grayed out here, so again, more managerial functions that we don't have access to. So we'll just hit back and exit, and that takes us back out here to our Working with Tables screen. From the Working with Tables screen, let's click on the Sales button in the lower portion of the screen. This is going to give us a nice flash report of our sales. We can see some various tabs listed here across the bottom that we can flip through to get more information about sales, payment information, the comps provided to our checks today, and promotions. And we can also see here that the summary is just giving us a quick breakdown of the sales we've gathered through GetCheck and the cash that is owed from the customer transactions. So just a nice quick snapshot report of your sales, payments, comps, promotions, and a summary of your daily totals. We'll say OK, and that takes us back out here to our Working with Tables screen. That's going to complete our shift for today. So in the Working with Tables screen, we're going to go ahead and click the Checkout button. When I click on the Checkout button, it's going to prompt me to be sure that I want to run my checkout. So I'm going to say yes here, that I am ready to run it. That's going to print my checkout at the local receipt printer. From here, I can exit the screen if I have some side work to do, or I can hit Clock Out to clock out. This time we're going to go ahead and click the Clock Out button. That is going to prompt us to clock out in the Clock Out screen. And again, in the upper right here, we'll click Clock Out. And that carries us back out to our login screen. Let's take a look at our checkout. Okay, so let's explore our checkout. Here at the top, we can see our basic information, the revenue center we are working in, the restaurant, and the job code we are working as. We can see our sales for today that we've gathered, the food sales, NA beverage sales, and sales in total. We We can see the taxes collected off our transaction and a gross sale total. As we work our way down the checkout here, we'll see some payment information, including cash and credit card information for the MasterCard transaction we had. We can see the credit card tips that were applied to the transaction. We can see the cash transactions here for the petty cash account that we processed for the grocery goods that we needed for the limes, the $3 that we pulled out of the cash drawer. And then, of course, we can see our total cash owed listed here today, which is, again, based upon our cash payments, our credit card tips, and any transactions to the drawer. In essence, the paid outs are affecting that cash owed. So let's keep cruising down our checkout here. We can see the employee signature and the cash received by manager signature lines. We can see the tips collected on our transactions here for the servers who were actually processing or managing the table. So we can see that we are going to give those tips back to them. The $3 tips collected for Sarah's server here are listed on our checkout. We can see our drawer balance, and again a little bit more payment information for cash and credit card transaction detail for payment detail. There is an audit section if there's any discounts, comps, or voids applied to the checks. You can see we have some sales detail for per person average and alcohol sales totals listed here for performance tracking. That's going to complete our Aloha Cashier training for today. If you have more interest in learning about Aloha front of house order functionality, you can check out the Aloha server training module, or I also recommend checking out the Aloha server reference guide. It's going to cover all basic front of house functionality for servers, bartenders, cashiers, and managers. You can find these reference guides on ncr.com or by speaking to your local account representative. I thank you for taking the training with me today, and I wish you the best of luck using the Aloha system. Have a great day.